Jack Flaherty's first start in 2022 was an underwhelming one, but it's a balancing act of being patient and trusting that he can still be the ace that he needs to be, but also recognize that it needs to come quicker than it did in the first start. So we'll talk about his first start, what I like, didn't like, as well as the future for Flaherty on this second episode of Friday, June the 17th of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Locked On Cardinals for June the 17th. This one's all about Jack Flaherty and how he needs to step up, but also we need to be patient with him after returning from injury. I am Lucas Smith, host of the show. You can find me on Twitter at LJFastball. This show today is brought to you by Sports Card Investor. Download the Sports Card Investor app today and easily browse over 630,000 cards from every sport with hundreds more added each week. Available for free in Google Play and the Apple App Stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/locked-on. Very excited to tell you about Sports Card Investor, a little bit more coming up in the show, but we are going to start today talking about Jack Flaherty and how his first start on Wednesday was not ideal. Was only goes 3 innings with his 60 pitch count limit, and it was 3 underwhelming innings, as I mentioned. There's a balancing act to this here, in my opinion, with Jack Flaherty, because you have to recognize this is, first attack at going back at being healthy. He could have used another rehab start. There were a couple of tweets about that the other day, but I still think that we saw good managing from Oli Marmol and the fact that he was able to trust Jack Flaherty. I think we would have been praising that decision a little bit more if Flaherty would have gone out there and thrown 3 and 4 shutout innings. But you also have to look at the fact that he was not aided by his defense at all. Of his 4 runs, only 2 of those were earned, and he'll tell you it's on him that he needs to be better, because at the end of the day he does. The control was not there as he walked 2 in those 3 innings, and of his 60 pitches, 37 of those were strikes. But the control just wasn't as sharp as you might like it to be. But just looking at the game by game and watching it, the defense just was not there. Starts out really good as Marcano with a strikeout swinging. Then you've got a triple by Brian Reynolds. You walk Hayes, and then a ground out by Vogelbach that could have been a double play. You've got a single given up by Cal Mitchell. So in the first, that's 2 runs. And then you've got the second inning, you've got the bunts. Jack Flaherty throws one away. Yadier Molina throws one away. You've got those 2 bunts that really just killed it. And again, going back to the first inning, you've had Brendan Donovan there at first base that if that's picked cleanly, you get a double play, you get out of the inning. And I hate to say this part as well because I love Donovan so much, but if Paul Goldschmidt's there, you have to really think that it's going to be a successful double play because he is so sure-handed there at first base. So a lot of little things didn't go the way that they should have gone for the Cardinals. I think that is a big factor in this, and that cannot be lost. And again, those are going to happen every start, but it just seemed to all pile on Jack Flaherty in that first start as he is only able to go, again, 3 innings. And I forgot to mention this at the top of the show, but it just hit my mind. If you did not listen to the first show and you're wondering why the quality might be, video might be not as good, or the audio, a couple of equipmental failures have caused me to kind of go through just earbuds and a handset microphone for these first couple episodes of today. So apologize for that. Hoping to get the equipment fixed soon. But anyways, it was underwhelming. There's no way you can look at me and say, yep, that game was just as advertised. It's okay. Because even Flaherty said, I'm not working my way back. Like, I should have performed better. He said it was BS for keep it PG of that narrative of, well, it's just his 1 start back. It's okay. And to be honest, I love that about Jack Flaherty, that he is always trying to be better. Even when he goes, 7 innings, gives up just 2 earned runs, he's going to complain about those 2 earned runs and how that's on him and how he needs to make better pitches. So now with his next start, whenever that is, whether it's Monday against Milwaukee, whether they push it to Sunday against the Red Sox because it's supposed to be Palante's start, or they push it to Tuesday, or they give him a little bit more rest, whenever it might be, I expect Flaherty to perform. Hopefully it's on not a pitch count. If it is, maybe it's at 75, maybe it's 80, and he's able to go 4 or 5 innings. But it's one of those, it's a balancing act, right, of Jack Flaherty realizing, at least from the outside perspective, that it was his first start back at the major league level this season. So it's going to take time. The command clearly was not there, but also recognizing that you could see the stuff was there. And you could see why the Cardinals wanted to keep him out there. He did strike out 3 in those 3 innings. He pitched a scoreless third inning. He was able to bounce back, and it was a 1-2-3 third inning as well, 3 ground outs. And you've got the minor league stat line, the minor league statistics to show that Flaherty does have the stuff and did look good in that start and in his couple rehab starts at Memphis. So the argument was, could he have used another start at Memphis? Maybe. There's a decent argument for that, but I would much rather him try and work back at the major league level because the offense almost came back for him. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in segment number 3. But Jack Flaherty was not the savior right away that he needed to be for the St. Louis Cardinals. And again, I talked about this a little bit in the first show that I did today about how the starting staff has really stepped up more than I think they're given credit for. Wainwright's pitching unbelievably still. Michaelis has turned in a couple of phenomenal starts. Dakota Hudson has turned in a couple starts even before that clunker of a start in his last time out. But Flaherty still needs to be that guy for the Cardinals. Now, the question is, can he be? I think he can. I'll talk about a little bit more of that in segment number 2 and what he can mean for this pitching staff. But Flaherty is one of those guys that he has all the potential in the world, right? And I think we did see that potential in start number 1. Ball bounces differently, a bunt's fielded differently. We're talking about a whole different start, a whole different dynamic for Jack Flaherty if a couple little things go his way. A couple little things go the Cardinals' way, and all of a sudden we're probably talking about a 4-game sweep at the hands or against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we're probably talking about a Jack Flaherty coming back and impressing. So the next step for Flaherty would be to improve the control, right? Be a little more sharp with his pitches, and for the Cardinal defense to simply be the Cardinal defense. I know Molina committed an error, which is very rare. Jack Flaherty himself committed an error, which is pretty rare as well. He's usually pretty sure-handed. But it was just one of those days. It was hot. It was humid. The elements probably weren't in his favor in St. Louis, which he won't use it as an excuse, and he shouldn't. But that is something that played a factor in it, in my opinion, or at least could have played a factor in that game. So you have to look at it like it's one start. It's not the end of the world. He came back from it, at least so far, healthy. He didn't say, yeah, the shoulder still hurt, something else hurt, something was pinching. That's a huge positive because Jack Flaherty, I know he can be somewhat polarizing for Cardinal fans for what he has to say on Twitter and different things, which is what it is. But at the end of the day, he is one of those guys that can be a top-level arm. He's got the stuff. He's got the demeanor. He's got the attitude. He just wants to pitch. There's a story by, I think it was Katie Wu in The Athletic that was taken by. He just wants to pitch. It's all he wants to do for the last 3 years. It's been grueling. It's been tough. He just got to grind through it. I think that maybe this was just the one last bump in the road. Now, this is also not to say that if he does one more bad start, then it's over, or if he does one more good start, then it's fixed automatically. But there is a sense of one start, it's okay, things didn't go his way. I think that's what it comes down to. Maybe this is me being too optimistic, or maybe this is me being, too much of a fan, wanted to cheer for Flaherty in his return. But I do believe that he has the stuff to compete at this level, and I do believe that he can be, the 1A, 1B, 2 level type starter, ace level type starter. Excuse me, that the Cardinals would like him to be, that his stuff would allow him to be. And I think that it was just one start, and I think it's going to be okay. I truly, truly do. So what can he do going forward? I talked a little bit about, the stuff. What can he do going forward to fix it, and what can't he be for this Cardinal rotation? Talk a little bit more about that point coming up here in just a moment. But first, we have an exciting new partner to tell you about. And this episode is brought to you by Sports Card Investor. This is a wonderful app. It's completely free. You can browse over 630,000 cards from every sport, hundreds more added each week. Check the latest values of your favorite cards with 7-day or 30-day charts. You can find the best prices and buy directly through the app with our eBay deals feature. Because whether you're a casual card collector looking for exciting alternative investment opportunities, the free Sports Card Investor app has something for you. You have breakout stars or prospects debuting. You can check out the value or find great deals on the cards. And if you also want older cards, you want nostalgia, you can go back in time and see how much your favorite cards are worth today. Or if you're just interested to getting into sports cards, you can find great deals on your favorite players of today. Personal card stories are incredible. I love playing cards. I've toyed around on this app a little bit. It's incredible. I collected cards growing up, and now I can do it today looking at this app. It's wonderful and incredible. Please download the Sports Card Investor app today. It's available for free in the Google Play at App Stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/locked on. Again, that is sportscardinvestor.com/locked on. Jack Flaherty is, again, a polarizing figure for some. Some think he can be the ace that I talked about. Some think that he can't be, that he just lost it. But I truly believe that demeanor is there. I truly believe that he can be the ace, and that again, just little things didn't go his way. I talked about this on Wednesday's episode, that he has the stuff, he has the numbers to back it up. That slider is a wipeout slider. When he establishes the fastball in the inner portion of the plate, it plays because of how good the slider is, and it makes the slider better. That's how Flaherty can be successful. He's able to have the control, establish the fastball in the inner portion, and then people start trying to bail out, trying to pull happy with that fastball, and then you drop a slider down and away, get him a swing and a miss for strike 1, 2, or 3, whatever it might be. But the stuff can be there for Flaherty. And the question as well is that people need to ask is, I talk about that he can be the ace that the Cardinals need him to be, and I talk about it. He has that capability, has that potential. Does he need to be what he was in the second half of 2019? Minuscule ERA, savior of the season, ace level type stuff. Really, his rise to stardom was in that season. The answer is no. The answer is no, that he does not need to be a miracle worker for the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, he does need to pitch a lot better than he did on Wednesday. I still acknowledge that. I don't want that to get lost in translation, that people listening to this episode are just thinking, oh, Lucas thinks he pitched great on Wednesday and that he does need to fix things. No, he needs to pitch better. I mean, that's that's obvious. And I think that with Flaherty, what it comes down to is that he just needs to pitch to his potential. And it sounds so simple, but he doesn't need to try hard to light up the radar gun, to light up the world, because his stuff will play at this level. I'm telling you, his stuff will play. And I talked about this on Wednesday's show. Before he got hurt in 2021, he put up numbers. He was under sub-3 ERA in 11 starts, 8-1. He was really, really good before that start against the Dodgers when he got hurt swinging the bat and cost him his season. He was really good post 2000, obviously second half 2019. He had some good starts in 2020. His ERA was ballooned a little bit because of a bad start against Milwaukee. But he has shown us in the past that he has the capability. And I think that for him to be successful, he needs to just rely on the stuff, not overcomplicate things. Because, again, he's got that demeanor. He's got that it factor, in my opinion, of being that guy for the St. Louis Cardinals. Just don't try and do too much is what I'm trying to get at here. Don't try and be, Bob Gibson in the World Series. Just be Jack Flaherty. I think that he knows that. I think that he knows that he can execute better on his pitches. I think that he knows that he can do different things to improve. Excuse me, to take a drink of water there. But for this staff to be successful, I think Flaherty needs to be in it. I will say that. It's all about, like, all these things can be true. And Flaherty is going to work his way back. Hopefully the next time out he's able to go 5 innings, 80, 90 pitches. Hopefully maybe even they lift the pitch count altogether. Because the big positive, I think the overall positive for me coming out of that last start, I talked about it a little bit. So far, knock on wood, knock on something, superstitious people out there, he has come back from that start healthy. Wasn't any complications. He didn't feel anything pinched, or at least it hasn't been reported. He hasn't had anything come back to say, oh, he's hurt. Oh, something's still wrong. Setback. He's come back positive. He's come back healthy. Obviously, it's still been just a day and some change now, as recording this Friday afternoon. But hopefully, if he's able to stay healthy, that will help the Cardinals, because a healthy Jack Flaherty is a good Jack Flaherty. I think that is what we've seen. He was top 5 in the Cy Young, top 5 in the Rookie of the Year voting in 2019 when he was healthy. A healthy Jack Flaherty is a good Jack Flaherty. So you just have to not hope. He's obviously put it together a lot of work, but you have to expect him to be healthy, because a good Jack Flaherty is a healthy Jack Flaherty. So the next couple of days are going to be key to see how his body responds after the high intensity level, pitching in the hot, humid St. Louis, first major league start. I'm sure of 2022. I'm sure the adrenaline was high, all these different things. So how does the body respond to that? If he's able to stay healthy, he can be maybe not the savior, but he can be the guy for the Cardinals. Because right now, what we're seeing the starting rotation do is everybody else is stepping up individually. Talked about it. Miles Michaelis says, I know it's just 2 starts, but he's had a phenomenal season outside of those 2 starts. Dakota Hudson, a couple of good starts. Hopefully he corrects it this weekend after the bad start against Cincinnati. Adam Wainwright continues to impress. Andre Palante, impressive. So all these starting pitchers are finally starting to impress a little bit day by day. And I know that Palante gave up the home run, the loss on Wednesday, but still, Palante has been impressive. So now if Jack Flaherty come in and be Jack Flaherty, all of a sudden, a rotation of Flaherty, Wainwright, Michaelis, Hudson, and Palante, or maybe it's Matt when he comes back, but regardless, that's a pretty solid starting rotation. I will say that at least we'll leave number 5 to be for a little bit. But looking at those 4, Jack Flaherty, pitching healthy, pitching wonderfully, is a good Jack Flaherty. We've seen that. Again, I cannot emphasize enough. We've seen what a healthy Jack Flaherty can do. Adam Wainwright is pitching like he's 20 or 30, not 40. He continues to put up good numbers. Miles Michaelis has found his control. He is putting up great numbers. Dark Horse Cy Young Award candidate. Phenomenal. Dakota Hudson, if he's able to show, I talked about this in the first episode today, if he's able to show that those 2 7-inning starts with 2 runs or less weren't flukes, and that is the true Dakota Hudson, that's a really, really good number 4 starting pitcher. And then the fifth starter's role, you can figure it out. Maybe it's Matz when he comes back. Maybe Hicks if he comes back sooner. But right now it's Palante. You could do a lot worse than what Palante's done. So this starting rotation can be maybe not scary good, but it can be daunting for an opponent. Because I've talked about the last 2 series, I have made the points that the pitching lines up pretty good for St. Louis. Because all of a sudden you have pitchers pitching well. This weekend, I talked about it in the first episode today. You've got Wainwright tonight, Hudson tomorrow, Palante on Sunday. I'll take my chances with those 3, excuse me. I really will. I know it's against Boston, so something's probably going to go wrong because Cardinals and Fenway don't have a great history. But I really do think that this rotation can be really good. I've been really high on this rotation. I'm really high on the bullpen all year long, even though that they have underperformed. Right? I guess I should say I was high on the bullpen coming into the year, even though the bullpen has underperformed a little bit outside of the big 3. But I just think that Flaherty coming back, a healthy Flaherty is a good Flaherty. If they keep Flaherty healthy, I'm excited for the future of this rotation. Some might say that's a big if. Some might say he's injury prone, and I can understand the frustration with Jack Flaherty and his injuries over the last couple of years. But I do think that Flaherty can come back and help this team. You know, he came back last year, got hurt again after the Kansas City start. So it's going to be important to see how his body recovers over the next few days. And if he's able to make his next start full health, then I have confidence in Flaherty. Keep Flaherty healthy. This rotation is going to be fine. So underwhelming, absolutely. Work to be done, absolutely. But still, at least on my end, some excitement for Jack Flaherty. Let me know if you're excited or not excited. So I haven't talked about the offense here in game number 4 of the Pittsburgh series, so we'll talk about that to finish up the show. But again, if you haven't listened to the first show of the day talking about Wainwright, Waka, Cardinals, Red Sox, and Molina on the injured list, you can head over to the first episode of the day that was released a little bit earlier today for that information. But before I talk about the offense from the Pittsburgh game, I do want to talk about LinkedIn, because as sun comes out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier for you to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. You can create a job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then you add your job and add the purple #hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skill sets that you want to hire, as well as the right experience, so you can bring them in to interview and ultimately hire them. This is why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number 1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Because did you know that nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonMLB to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. I also want to tell you about the incredible, best tasting protein bar in the business of Built Bar. And I'm telling you today, talk about Built Bar Mud Pie. You know how our friends at Built are always coming up with new amazing flavors. Well, this time they've done it again with the new Mud Pie flavor. And for the first time, Built is introducing the Mud Pie flavor in both Mud Pie Bar and Mud Pie Puff. Not sure what Mud Pie tastes like? Well, if you're a chocolate fan, you better sit down for a second. And I know I was whenever I first got the information about this. The new Mud Pie Bar is rich with whipped cream, chocolate mousse, smothered in 100% real chocolate, and topped with cookies and cream crumble. If that's not incredible, I don't know what is. So you've got to try Mud Pie as soon as possible, and you need to hurry because the Mud Pie Bar and Mud Pie Puff are only available for a limited time. Visit Built.com to taste the deliciousness for yourself. And if you're not convinced, all right. Well, luckily, we've saved the best for last. It's actually good for you. No, really. All Built products are low calories, high protein, low sugar. Mud Pie itself is packed with 16 grams of protein, only 150 calories, and 8 grams of sugar. It's like your mom baked the most deliciously creamy chocolate mud pie, wrapped it up just for you, and added protein. Mud Pie bars and puffs are available at Built.com right now, but they're going fast because they are delicious. Like all Built bars are covered 100% in real chocolate. That means they're healthy and tasty. And especially with Mud Pie, they are incredibly tasty. Again, chocolate mousse, whipped cream, cookies and cream crumble. It's not too good to be true. Stop drooling. Get to Built.com today and order your box of Mud Pie bars and puffs. Now you won't regret it. So be sure to go to Built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Use LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. I had to take a drink of water because of how good those Mud Pie bars taste, and I cannot wait to get my hand on some of mine. I got them mailed to me, so I'm very excited to order them. But nevertheless, we'll finish up the show talking a little bit about Cardinal Offense, because they did fall in the Pittsburgh Pirates 6-4. They were down 4-0. They come back to tie the game thanks to 1 run in the second, 3 runs in the fifth, and then Palante gives up the 2-run home run rather in the seventh. But this, you can't complain with what the Cardinal Offense has been doing over the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, really. You can complain about the Rays series, and I get that. It'll be important to see what the Cardinals can do against another playoff caliber team in the Boston Red Sox, or at least an above 500 team. Cardinals, I don't face many of those, but overall, you get 9 hits on Wednesday. Cardinals walked 4 times, only struck out 6 times. You had doubles from Goldschmidt and Donovan. You had Bader with a triple in this game. That was exciting. And the Carlson home run. We're starting to see Carlson find the power stroke a little bit. He hits his 4th home run of the season. Donovan had a 3-hit day, which is something that's it's hard to really calculate how good Donovan is. I'm a huge, if you haven't noticed yet, I'm a huge Brendan Donovan fan. But going back to Carlson for a little bit, in his last 7 games, 5 for 17, couple home runs, 4 runs driven in, 3 walks. It's a 294 average, 400 on base, 706 slugging. You go back to his last 15 games, which go back to before he was hurt. He's slashing 327, 377 on base, 510 slugging. He's got, the 2 home runs that he hit against the Pirates this week. Dylan Carlson's starting to swing it. And I think that's something that we can take notice about here. I know that Carlson was only 1 out of 3, but he also walked once. The average is starting to climb for Carlson. This is, again, the kind of person we're seeing that we saw before the injury. And we're seeing it from both sides of the plate. He had a right-handed home run, excuse me, earlier in the series, and this one he hit left-handed. So we're seeing the power stroke from both sides of the plate. This is what we're seeing. And that is huge for this team if the Cardinals want to advance at all, because this outfield needs to play a factor in the Cardinals season. And so far, they've played overall negative factor. You saw Bader again go 1 for with that triple. O'Neill had another hit. He only struck out once. That's huge. But you did have some opportunities as the Cardinals go just 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They stranded 9. So obviously that is a huge negative from this game. That you had a chance to get the sweep. You had a chance to nail put the nail in the coffin to bury the Pirates. At least in the series, obviously the Pirates aren't going to make the playoffs, but you had a chance to really stick it to them with that 4-game sweep. But at the end of the day, the Cardinals were unable to do so, and it's not the end of the world. You still walk away with positives, both offensively as a whole and offensively just on Wednesday night. With the 4 runs coming back, 9 hits, only struck out only 6 times, walk 4. That's good. So offensively, not concerned for this team. And again, it will be interesting to see what the Cardinals can do against a playoff caliber team like Boston, and see what they can do, especially against Michael Wacha tonight. Again, if I haven't told you enough, episode number 1 today was about Wainwright versus Wacha, as well as the rest of the Red Sox series. So that was super fun. But from the Cardinals standpoint, offensively, not super concerned. This is an offense that's starting to click. Goldschmidt's still unbelievably on fire, even though he didn't hit a home run Wednesday, which was a huge quote-unquote negative. But you still had positives coming out of Goldschmidt. And then on the pitching side of things, even though Flaherty did not look good and Palante gave up a 2-run home run, saw some really good things overall. Palante, outside of that, looked pretty good. Oviedo, shutout baseball as well in relief. And TJ McFarland, in inning and a third of shutout baseball, as he is trying to get that ERA below 7, as it currently sits at 7.01. But I'm not too worried about this team, honestly. I think that this will be a good test. And these next 7 days, next 7 games, will be huge for the Cardinals. You've got 3 against Boston, 4 against Milwaukee. The Cardinals were able to take 2 out of 3 against the Reds, take 3 out of 4 against the Pirates, so that was successful. I think going 4-3 would be huge for this team in this next week. Obviously, anything greater than the idea would be to win the Boston series and at least split the Brewers series, especially with it being on the road. But first things first, focus on Boston. Don't just try and dismiss Boston because they're not a division team. Focus on Boston, get the win here, and then move on and face the Brewers next week. But let me know what you think about Jack Flaherty, about the pitching situation for the St. Louis Cardinals. Let me know what you think about the Cardinal offense on Wednesday as well. Drop a comment in the YouTube section. DM me on Twitter at LJ Fastball. DM the show on Twitter at LO_Cardinals. That's also the Instagram handle. Or email the show anytime at lockedoncards@gmail.com. Again, apologies for the equipment mishap on my part, trying to get those fixed, as well as the 2 episodes a day for a couple days this week. That will not be a thing in the future. There will be an episode Monday to Friday. So until I talk to you guys next Monday, talk about the Red Sox series as well as previewing the Brewers series. Be sure to stay safe, stay well, and have a fantastic rest of your day.